New information about the damage from Helene along the Blue Ridge Parkway.
That entire length of the parkway remains closed this morning as those damage assessments continue.
It sure does. News 13's Gracie Matisse joins us now live from the parkway this morning. Gracie, we're talking a whole lot of damage out there.
Yeah, that's right, Charles and Karen. You said assessment is now underway, and they have not even been able to assess all of the damage from Helene just because of the extent of it. So joining us again, spokesperson with National Park Service, Mike Litters. Thank you so much again for joining us, Mike. Can you talk about the obstacles that crews are facing when it comes to not only assessing but then repairing some of the damage?
Well, one of the big things they're dealing with is simply the extent of the damage. The Blue Ridge Parkway is 469 miles total. We're dealing with 200 miles plus of severe damage, where we're seeing the majority of the tens of thousands of trees down, 36 rock and mudslides, 9 areas where those slides have significantly damaged the roadway. So just that much area to deal with, and because the road is goes through mountains, when you have an area that's out, you've got mountain on one side, valley on the other. There's no way to go around, so you literally have to backtrack, go around on other roads, and come back down from another area.
Great visuals there, Mike. So thank you for saying that, because it's hard to grasp really the extent of the damage. Can you quickly tell us what you're telling people as far as staying off the road?
You know, the assessments are ongoing, as you mentioned, and until we're finished with that, until we're done with emergency stabilization, repairs in some places, the entire length of the Blue Ridge Parkway is closed, and that's closed to all vehicles and all uses, pedestrians, cyclists included. There are still unknown dangers out there. There are seen dangers, but unseen ones. Undercutting of the road. It may be an area that looks safe, but there may be nothing supporting the road underneath. Hanging snags, branches that may still come down, and it's an active work area. So you may be thinking that you're walking or cycling on a road that's closed, but there's going to be lots of heavy equipment, lots of vehicles coming back and forth.
Good reminders there, Mike. Thank you so much. Guys, you heard it there. For your own safety, stay off the roadway. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Gracie, thank you for that. 2.6 million Duke Energy customers across the Carolinas have power once again. The power provider is focused on restoring the remaining 84,000 across western North Carolina still without power. 1,000 customers in Madison County alone were restored when the third and final temporary substation for the region was powered on.
Well, this mobile substation won't fix the damage somewhere else. So it's not necessarily that we needed to get hot springs on before a different community. They needed this one technology to solve their problem, and that's why we delivered that here.
In Swannanoa and Black Mountain, crews are focused on rebuilding the main transmission line infrastructure. In other communities, it'll take new utility poles to restore the electricity there. Duke Energy said utility crews working in the mountains will not be diverted to Florida for the next storm. All right, love this story. One volunteer organization in Buncombe County has taken matters into its own hands to help out. The Savage Freedom Ops organization, more commonly known as the Redneck Air Force, is working to reach remote communities to make sure they've got supplies.
Its headquarters is based out of the Harley-Davidson in Swannanoa. It started after a few pilots saw a need for help on social media, and it grew from there. Amidst all of this tragedy here, it is unbelievable to see the way people are really just stepping up to help each other.
Absolutely, and as awesome as our rescue and relief organizations really are and have been out there, there are gaps in there. And to see organizations like this step to the plate and fill those gaps, it's pretty awesome. Thank you.
We're taking a look at some of the school systems finally able to get kids back in the classroom. Such a good update for parents.
Yeah, big development.
Yeah, also some updates on assistance available for those who might be running out of those important supplies. You can see all those efforts that we've been talking about to still get resources to people in need. Yeah, but Megan, we're looking at a lot going on in the Gulf, and the question, will it affect us here?
It will not affect us here. So I just want to continue to reiterate that this storm is not going to impact us, but it is going to have a tremendous impact on the western coast of Florida. The eye wall that you can see now on Key West radar about 236 miles to the southwest there of Tampa Bay. All the rain you can see already spreading into parts of Florida. The cone here clearly shows how this storm is going to stay to our south. But the problem this morning is that we haven't really seen any weakening wind speed. It's still a Cat 5 with 160 mile per hour sustained winds and gusts to 195 miles per hour. So we're hoping to see the winds drop in speed as this moves inland tonight. The National Hurricane Center is still forecasting a Cat 4, and you can see how narrow the cone is now. As we get closer to landfall, each one of these updates is going to try and pinpoint the location. But you also have to know that this is going to have a very large wind field. As it approaches the coast of Florida, it's going to expand. So we'll see a lot of area with wind damage. The cone now from north of Tampa down to Port Charlotte. And on the eastern side, probably coming out around a Cat 1 there between Daytona Beach and Fort Pierce, Melbourne right in the center of that, Orlando in the cone, Sebring, Winter Haven in central Florida. The biggest concern, of course, is the life-threatening storm surge. This has been such a powerful hurricane that wall of water is already built up. And even if the wind speeds come down, that wall of water is going to stay the same. And it's going to move into all these vulnerable parts of the coastline, 10 to 15 feet there from Tampa Bay down toward Boca Grande. On the other side, the storm pushes water into the northern Florida coast, Georgia, and even the South Carolina coast with a little bit of storm surge on the east side. Again, no impacts here. I've got to look at your quiet weather forecast coming up.
All right, let's get another check on traffic. You can see mostly green out there throughout the Asheville and surrounding areas. All of those interstates, all of those main arteries in and out of the city look pretty smooth sailing for you this morning as you head into work.
Well, nearly every student enrolled in McDowell County schools will be back in the classroom this morning following a 2-hour delay. However, some Old Fort Elementary School students will return on Monday to Pleasant Gardens Elementary School after Old Fort Elementary sustained flood damage during Helene. Students riding the bus will meet at community bus stops. FWB Church for bus number 176, Bethlehem Baptist for bus 190, and Living Waters Tabernacle for bus 213. Some students, however, might not be able to make it back.
And the issue with online in our remote areas is obviously the fact that none of us have service. But in that situation, we've got students that may be displaced in another area, and we will work with them to make sure we meet their needs.
Also, a PTO rep for Old Fort Elementary told News 13 consideration and input from teachers and parents was not taken to heart when making the decision to reopen. They say they would have preferred waiting a few weeks.
State officials say the death toll in Buncombe County now stands at 40 from Helene. The total number of verified storm-related deaths in all of North Carolina is 89. Sheriff Quentin Miller says they have responded to hundreds of calls for service over the last 12 days. Deputies and first responders are working 24 hours a day to reach every part of the county. He says they currently have 23 teams deployed. Those teams clear debris, check on neighbors, and give help wherever it's needed.
Together, we will not just recover, we will rebuild something even stronger than before.
The sheriff also says the detention center is fully operational. Of the 290 detainees there, 141 are being transferred to other facilities in the state.
And new this morning, FEMA shared an update on assistance available for folks without health insurance who may be running out of important supplies, especially medication. The Emergency Prescription Assistance Program is now available through the HHS. It covers not just prescriptions, but vaccinations and other vital equipment.
Through this federally managed program, uninsured residents can receive a free 30-day supply of certain prescription medications at any EPAP participating pharmacy, which can be renewed every 30 days. The program also pays for the replacement of some types of durable medical equipment and supplies, such as canes, crutches, walkers, wheelchairs, blood surge meters, and blood sugar test strips for diabetics.
As local and federal officials work to connect people with immediate medical help, we're also looking ahead to the long-term health impacts of the storm for you and for your pets.
Mission Hospital announced that they are now transferring some patients from their hospitals to places outside of this area. Asheville Specialty Hospital and Care Partners Inpatient Rehab are also transferring patients out. The reason? Lack of water. Right now, their clean water is being brought into their facilities with pumper trucks. Mission says they expect the transfers to impact less than 100 patients across all 3 facilities, and only the patients who are being moved are the ones not in severe conditions.
Well, in response to Helene, the Buncombe County Board of Elections has approved new times and locations for early voting. Daily early voting hours will be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. beginning on October 17th and running through November 1st, including weekends.
Some early voting locations include South Buncombe, Black Mountain, East Asheville, Inca Candler, and Fairview Libraries. Lester and Weaverview Community Centers also included in that list. For more locations and information, you can check out this story at WLOS.com.
All right, 2 major hurricanes in such a short span of time have put a spotlight on the insurance industry.
It is a reminder to regularly review home, renters, and auto policies.
It sure is. The insurance industry has been hit in recent years by more frequent disasters and inflation. That's led to a jump in homeowners insurance rates, 11.3% in just the past year, according to the S&P Global.
Analysts say insurance companies are using more defined technology to assess risk.
Aerial images, data mining, predictive models, and all that technology means that they have been fine-tuning the wording in their policies.
Fox says when disaster does strike, document as much as you can safely and also keep a daily journal of recovery steps along the way.
As many businesses and restaurants are in the process of getting their power and water back up and running, health officials want to make sure they're prioritizing safety. News 13's Nija Pettihome explains what that means for those businesses before they can reopen.
Over the weekend, Bill Osborne, owner of Voodoo Brewing on Sutton Creek Road, got an unexpected letter informing him that his permit to operate had been suspended pending an inspection, news no owner wants to hear.
We opened Saturday to give out food, so we were giving out food free to the community just to kind of get ourselves ready, give my employees some work and some things to do. To get that email with no other real information on it other than what was contained in the letter did take us back a little bit.
Osborne a bit shaken up.
We weren't sure what we need to do and how we were going to do it.
In a letter from the Buncombe County Health and Human Services Department, it stated that until further notice, all restaurants' permits have been suspended and must pass a health inspection review to be cleared to open their doors to the public again.
We have 15 restaurant inspectors who are currently working 7 days a week. So that ends up being about 10 inspectors per day. We have made a request for additional restaurant inspectors so that we can support our restaurants in their reopening and making sure that they're reopening safely. If they are operating and they haven't been cleared, then our inspectors will take remediation efforts with those individual restaurants.
Taking immediate actions. On Sunday morning, Osborne began the process of filling out the emergency operations plan. By Sunday evening, health inspectors were at his door.
Once that information was received, we got a call back from the department later in the afternoon on Sunday. So same day that we submitted it, and they offered to send someone out to do our inspection. They showed up around 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, did the inspection. The inspection was mainly going through and checking what were we doing regarding the water and the boil alerts.
Osborne said that the health inspectors were particularly focused on several key areas during his review. If he had boiling water, where the boiling water was being stored, if he had adequate hand washing and sanitization products, and if he was up to date with the proper dish cleaning practices.
They were happy with what we were doing, how we had our hand sanitizing, how we weren't using ice, all those types of things from that standpoint.
And on that same day, Voodoo Brewing was cleared to operate.
With that, they gave us a verbal go-ahead that we can go ahead and open the facility.
Osborne is optimistic that things will be up and running again for a lot of businesses in the area. In Asheville, I'm Nija Pettihome, News 13.
your on-time traffic report.
Sponsored by Fred Anderson Toyota of Asheville.
Time now for another look at traffic this half hour. It is 6:18. You can see mostly green corridors here throughout the Asheville area. No major accidents this morning to tell you about. You can see a couple of trouble spots here in red, but for the most part, most main arteries throughout Asheville are open for you this morning.
And now your News 13 Skywatch weather.
Milton will make landfall along the west central coast of Florida, likely late tonight into tomorrow morning. The storm moving east and out into the Atlantic, thanks to that strong high pressure that we have in control. It's been giving us such nice weather, but that high pressure also acts as a blocker, keeping that hurricane moving off to the east. And then we just get reinforcing shots of high pressure